Welcome to another travel product review. Today we're going to review the Night Illumination Walking Tour. Now, the thing about our reviews is they're always favorable. What I try to do is put myself in the shoes of a visitor seeing this listing on Get Your Guide and provide feedback of what they might be thinking when they see the pictures, the text, and the reviews. And the one thing that we do is we put a 10-minute timer. We don't try to go past that. So let's start that timer now, and let's get started. Now, the first thing I do is I look at the title, and I like to make sure that I kind of take it in. Night Illumination Walking Tour. So I think at the Niagara Falls, they do a night illumination, and what you do is you walk with a guide, and they'll tell you about some details of that. And so the only thing is if you took out the Niagara Falls part about it, the Night Illumination Walking Tour, that would give you, it wouldn't really make sense. You wouldn't know where that is. So you need the kind of the city in that to kind of understand it. Now, the next thing I do is I look at the pictures to see if the picture supports the title and kind of tells the story of what you're going to do when you do this tour. Now, I look at how many pictures they uploaded. They only added 8 images. I think the ideal number is between 13 and 15 images. And so I think that's a little low, but we're going to take a look at this and see how the picture supports the title. So I see the Niagara Falls. This looks lit up. I see a nighttime. It just tells you that you maybe start this tour right around sunset, depending on the type of year. See another section of the U.S. Falls. You see another viewpoint looking at the Canadian side with the Niagara Falls on the left. You see some mist. You see some sunset, and you see some more lights. Now, what I don't see in these pictures is I don't see any people. I don't see the guide. I don't see any groups of people. I think that would kind of help, and you don't show where you're checking in at. And I think those are some of the things that if I'm a visitor to this listing, I'd want to see to kind of see what it looks like. You have pictures of the falls, but you definitely want to see what the tour entails. And the next part I do is I kind of just look at about this activity. The duration is 1 to 1.5 hours. That's a big gap, in my opinion, that you should know exactly how much time you do. Live tour guide only in English, small group limited to 10 participants. Now, the next part is there is a live tour guide, so they mentioned that there. That's where I've already mentioned that you should see the guide in the pictures up above. And now the next part is I like to go ahead and while you do this section, you'll see if there's any other packages that go with it. So the only passenger, different person is an adult. I go here to see if there's any discounts, and right there I can see that it's discounted every day of the week. So we're going to choose tomorrow, and now we're going to check availability. And with the discount, it's $117. So now I just want to go up and just do one passenger. So it's $58. And the starting time's at 8:30. So if it's an hour, then you'll end at 9:30. If it's an hour and a half, you'll end at 10. And it gives you an idea where to meet. See, I would like to see pictures of where you meet. That's important because that way you're trying to help the guests get to the location, and that should be included in the photos, in my opinion. And then you see that this is where already by doing the different packages, you can see that they have a 90-minute walking tour and a 1-hour walking tour, and that's where the duration was that there's 2 options. But you wouldn't know it if you didn't go through this. So everybody that visits this listing or any listing on Get Your Guide, just go ahead and put the passengers or participants in there and see if there's any other packages. Now, for another 30 minutes, it looks like it's about less than $7, $8. And then I like to kind of look at the highlights and see what I'm kind of getting. The highlights is what the most important things are that the company wants to mention. And so choose between 1 hour and a 90-minute. We saw that. Learn about Niagara Falls from your guide. See Niagara Falls illuminated at night. So kind of simple. There's only 3 highlights. I would think that there should be a little bit more. And the next thing I didn't mention, but I'm going back to the top. I always want to look at the activity provider to see how the activity, who's putting on attractions for us, guided tours and activities, and there's 3.7 stars. That's a little low in my opinion. So I bet you there's going to be a couple things when you look at reviews. When we get there, they didn't know where to meet. The guide wasn't informative, too short, and the weather was bad, right? So I think some of those reviews should be pulled out because it's going to happen on all these tours. And that's where I always think that it's not fair for the company that some of those you already expect to happen would be there. But now we're going to go back down and we're going to look at see the full description. I like that it's not a big description. The formatting's right, and we came across that. Every evening beginning at dusk, Niagara Falls is illuminated in an array of colors, making it one of the most majestic places on earth. Experience illuminated Niagara Falls from Luna Island, located at the tip of Goat Island, next to the Canadian Falls. And see, I would like to see a picture of that. So that way, maybe they put some details, but at least you're informing the guest a little bit about it. And then choose between, so we got that point. You definitely, it says here, you get to choose that. The difference in 1 hour and 90 minutes and local Niagara Falls tour guide. Gratuities are not included, and wheelchair users. Now, this is, it looks pretty common. You're going to have a tour guide to take you to those places. Obviously, sometimes you can go without that tour guide, but I always think that going with a tour guide just gives you that extra element. And we're going to look at the reviews right now. And I want to mention before we get to the reviews that I don't work for this company, nor do I work for GetYourGuide. I'm simply providing feedback on what I think when I see negative reviews. So let's take a look at those negative reviews now. So the first thing I want to do is just click on 1 and 2 stars, and I'm providing feedback from what I think is what I'm thinking about these, right? So the Niagara Falls Illuminated Walking Tour did not happen as the guide simply did not show up. Waited an hour, attempts to contact the company for a refund, where we met with a full mailbox, so no action has been taken by the company. Suggest you hold on to your money and cross the Rainbow Bridge for a self-guided tour. So that is something that you should put in the details. I would say things to includes, or I think there's another section here, important information, where you say that you'll touch base with the guide 30 minutes prior to the event, because that way you're taking some of this feedback and you're making changes to the details, so that way there's some communication between the guide and the people coming. Our tour guide was never at the meeting place. Got here at 8 p.m., asked to be here by 8:15 and leave at 8:30. Called a message company service, no one was any help. Trying to get a refund, the guide never showed up. I was refused a refund. What a complete sham. No one showed up at the meeting point. No, your guide showed up, was at Hard Rock at 8 and waited. So all the negative reviews is about the tour guide not showing up. So if you go into this, I would make sure the instant you got a voucher that you want to be in touch with the tour guide and know how that tour guide, how you can communicate to them, so that way you don't show up and miss it yourself. It wasn't at all what we were expecting. There was a lot of opportunities to take good pictures of the falls, and towards the end, when we had a pretty good view, the guide was rushing us to get back, so we couldn't really take many pics. When the tour guide wants to rush back to end, if this is a walking tour, you should be able to walk at your own pace and catch up to the guide later. That's kind of the expectations that are there. And I'm just going to read one more because it seems like the main issue is getting in touch with the tour guide and having the tour guide show up. Now, the one thing I want to mention when it comes to tour guides is obviously those tour guides could have been fired and there's no connection on which tour guide. What if the company did some training, they got better tour guides, and all of a sudden now that issue is no longer an issue for the company? That's where I think some of these reviews are only a small fraction. So I would think that having those reviews stay there for so long isn't fair for the company, because a lot of changes could have been made since then. And I'm just going to end on that part right there. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll put a link in the video's description so you can purchase this with keeping in mind some of the things that we talked about in this video. All right, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good time during the Night Illuminating Walking Tour.